1, 2, 3. The purpose of my presentation is to show that if people grow up in abusive households, they will become abusers themselves or be a victim to abuse or domestic violence. My central idea is if people only grow up around violence and abuse, then that is what they're going to show during intense moments like fights, verbal fights, or physical fights. People who grow up in abusive households will most likely treat their partner in the future abusively and out of anger instead of trying to talk out the situation, because that is what they were shown when they were growing up. If a child experiences or just sees abuse rather than witnessing it, they will think that resolving a problem with violence is okay. The child will probably need to go to therapy or anger management in the future, especially if they're displaying signs like starting fights or cussing out people or being violent towards people for no reason. I've learned that most adults become abusers later in life, which can lead to murder, or they become victims to abuse. I personally believe that violence should not be shown or displayed to children while they're growing up, because it will harm their mental health and viewpoint in the future. I believe that abuse will only lead to more abuse and a bad mental health, which would lead to therapy in the future. In the article, Long-Term Effects of Domestic Violence on Children, it says, the National Domestic Violence defines domestic violence also referring to an intimate partner violence, dating abuse, or relationship abuse as a pattern of behaviors used by one partner to maintain power and control over one partner in an intimate relationship. I think that children who grew up with abuse think that if they do something wrong, then they deserve to be abused and hit, which is a bad thing to believe. I think the damage of abuse leads people to extreme anger issues and aggression towards other people. I also think that people use their past traumas against their partner in the future. I also think abuse hinders children's education skills and attention rate, because I think that all they're going to be thinking about is what happened in the past or the day before they went to school. I also think that children are scared to speak up and say something if they know that someone has been abused, because they think that it will only make the abuse worse and that they will be abused when they get home that day. And instead of learning, they're most likely traumatized by what happened the day before. I think abuse causes severe depression and negatively affects children's mental health, which would lead to medications like antidepressants and things like that. Also in the same article, the long-term health outcomes of child abuse, it says, Kessler and Maggie found childhood abuse to have consistent, significant effects on early onset and recurrent depression, and that violence from siblings or multiple family members was strongly associated with the recurrent depression. Abuse will leave children to feel like they're not enough, that they deserve it, and that it's only solely their fault when it is not. And if they are used to being hit by their parents, they think that people in the future, their partners in the future, will also do that, and they won't be able to trust them. And it can also lead to more stronger mental health illnesses such as schizophrenia and things like that. In an article, in Beck's model of depression, these cognitive personality characteristics have been shown not to simply have been shown not to simply latent diagnosis for depression. Childhood abuse can create dysfunction, borderline, or avoidant personality, according to the article. Abuse can also lead people to have multiple personalities, which is MPD. If a child is constantly told, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, then they're going to most likely believe that and fall into a negative headspace. I don't think people who have been abused should be blamed for it by their friends or their family. People who have been in a domestic violence or abusive situation have had to get restraining orders against the person that is abusing them. In the article, it's not just physical, broadening protections for domestic violence. In Iowa, it says, however, domestic violence can extend beyond intimate partner violence and may occur during all members of the same family or household. In the text, it says, generally, advocate groups define domestic violence broadly as a behavior used by one partner to maintain power and control over another partner in an intimate relationship. Judges in the past have viewed domestic violence as the woman doing something wrong or getting their husband's angry, which has hindered their restraining order in the past. But now, more women are seeing restraining orders from their domestic and abusive partner. Another quote from the text says, protective orders are proven to be effective in reducing violence against women and reporting that they have experienced, and the women have reported that they are experiencing lower levels of violence after seeking an order. I think that talking to a friend might give them the strength and courage to leave their abusive partner. In young people's approaches and experience of supporting friends experiencing domestic abuse, it says, some young people believe seeing or listening to advice from other sources but avoid conversations being seen as their own personal judgment on their relationship. People between the ages of 13 and 16 are the most people who are scared about speaking up about these situations because they were scared that they were going to be judged for it by their partner or by their family members, and they weren't going to be believed for it. Nowadays, most 20 to 24-year-olds call support systems like the domestic violence hotline, or they call their friends, or the friends call it for them because they feel like they aren't ready yet. I think people who experience abuse will think it's their fault or blame it on other people. I think depression occurs when children think they aren't ready or they aren't worthy of not being abused by their parents or by their partner in the future. Abuse can lead people to develop multiple personalities, especially if they take their abuse out on their partner in the future, or abuse was inflicted on them in their childhood. I think having no contact with an abusive person can be effective and can stop the abuse altogether. Thank you for listening to my presentation. One, two, three.